Have you ever noticed that the harder you chase something, the further away it seems to become? The promotion you desperately wanted never arrived. The relationship you tried so hard to save slowly fell apart. The happiness you believed was just one more achievement away somehow became even more distant. We've been taught that if we simply push harder, work harder, and refuse to give up, life will eventually reward us. But what if that's exactly where most people go wrong? Carl Jung believed there is a hidden psychological trap that keeps millions of people exhausted without them ever realizing it. The more they try to control every outcome, every person, and every uncertainty, the more they unknowingly move against the natural direction of their own lives. They mistake control for strength, when in reality, it often becomes the very source of their suffering. In this video, you'll discover why forcing life almost never leads to the peace you're searching for. What Carl Jung understood about the unconscious that most people completely overlook, and why the moment you stop trying to control everything may be the exact moment your life finally begins to change. From the moment we're born, we're taught that success belongs to those who take control. Control your future, control your emotions, control your career, control your relationships. Society praises those who appear to have everything under control, making us believe that uncertainty is something to fear rather than something to understand. Without realizing it, we begin treating life like a machine that only needs enough effort to produce the results we want. At first, this mindset feels empowering. We make plans, set goals, and convince ourselves that every obstacle can be overcome with enough determination. But sooner or later, reality reminds us that not everything obeys our expectations. People leave without warning. Opportunities disappear. Illness, loss, and unexpected change arrive without asking for permission. No matter how carefully we plan, life refuses to follow a script that we can completely control. This is where frustration quietly begins to grow. Instead of accepting that uncertainty is part of being human, we usually respond by trying even harder. We overthink every decision. We replay conversations in our minds. We try to predict every possible outcome before taking a single step. What started as responsibility slowly transforms into anxiety, and anxiety disguises itself as productivity. We believe we're solving problems when in reality we're becoming prisoners of our own need for certainty. Carl Jung believed this constant struggle reveals something much deeper than poor time management or excessive ambition. It reveals a conflict between the conscious mind and the unconscious. One desperately wants absolute control, while the other understands that life cannot be mastered through force alone. The more these two sides fight each other, the more exhausted we become. And according to Jung, that exhaustion is not the real problem. It's only the first warning that we're moving in the wrong direction. Most people spend years trying to control the world around them without ever asking a far more important question. What if the greatest force controlling your life isn't outside of you at all, but hidden deep within your own unconscious? That is exactly where Jung believed the real journey begins. Carl Jung believed that the greatest force shaping your life is often invisible. While your conscious mind tries to control every outcome, another part of you quietly influences your emotions, choices, and reactions. Jung called this the unconscious, a hidden world that constantly guides your behavior, even when you believe you are fully in control. Most people spend years trying to control the outside world while ignoring what is happening within. They suppress fear, avoid uncertainty, and hide painful emotions, believing they will eventually disappear. But Jung argued that whatever is rejected does not vanish. It sinks deeper into the unconscious, where it silently gains influence over your life. This is why forcing life often creates even more resistance. The battle is rarely between you and the world. It is between the person you believe you are and the hidden parts of yourself you refuse to face. According to Jung, real change begins the moment you stop fighting your unconscious and start understanding what it has been trying to tell you. The deeper Jung explored the human mind, the more he realized that the need for control rarely comes from confidence. It comes from fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of losing what we love. Every attempt to control the future is often an attempt to escape the discomfort of uncertainty. But uncertainty is not a flaw in life. It is one of its most natural conditions. When fear quietly takes control, the mind begins creating the illusion that more planning, more effort, and more control will finally bring peace. Yet the opposite often happens. The more we resist uncertainty, the more anxious we become. Instead of living in the present, we become trapped in imagined futures that may never happen, sacrificing today's peace for tomorrow's certainty. Jung believed true psychological growth begins when we stop asking, "How can I control everything?" and start asking, "What is this fear trying to teach me?" That single question changes everything. Because once fear is understood instead of resisted, it loses much of its power. And only then can we begin to experience life without constantly fighting against it. Letting go does not mean giving up. Carl Jung never suggested abandoning your dreams or refusing to take action. What he challenged was the desperate need to control every result. There is a profound difference between acting with purpose and acting from fear. One comes from trust in yourself, while the other comes from believing that your worth depends on a specific outcome. Think about the moments when life surprised you in the best possible way. Many of them were never part of your original plan. The people you met, the opportunities you found, or the lessons that changed you often appeared when you stopped trying to force everything into place. Jung believed that transformation begins when we allow life to unfold instead of demanding that it obey our expectations. This does not mean becoming passive or waiting for miracles. It means doing what you can with honesty and courage, then accepting that some things exist beyond your control. The moment you release the need to control every detail, your mind becomes quieter, your decisions become clearer, and you finally create space for life to reveal possibilities you could never have planned yourself. One of Carl Jung's greatest insights was that life often moves in ways the conscious mind cannot predict. The more we try to force every outcome, the less attention we give to the opportunities quietly unfolding around us. When we loosen our grip, we become more aware, more present, and more capable of recognizing the paths that were invisible while fear controlled our attention. Trusting the process does not mean believing that everything will always work in your favor. It means understanding that every experience, even the painful ones, carries the potential to shape your character. Jung believed that growth rarely comes through comfort alone. It emerges when we stop resisting reality and begin asking what each challenge is trying to reveal about who we are becoming. The greatest transformations rarely happen in a single dramatic moment. They happen quietly, through small decisions repeated every day. Each time you release the need to control what cannot be controlled, you become stronger, calmer, and more resilient. Over time, you realize that the life you were desperately trying to create begins to appear naturally once you stop standing in its way. Carl Jung believed that true freedom is not found in controlling the world around you, but in understanding the world within you. The moment you stop demanding certainty from life, you begin to discover a quieter kind of strength. One that isn't shaken by failure rejection, or unexpected change, because it no longer depends on everything going according to plan. Most people spend years searching for peace in achievements, relationships, or future success, believing that one more accomplishment will finally make them feel complete. Yet Jung argued that lasting peace can never come from what is outside of you. It begins the moment you stop resisting your own journey and accept that uncertainty is not your enemy, but one of your greatest teachers. Perhaps the greatest lesson Jung wanted us to learn is that life is not asking you to control every step ahead. It is asking you to become the kind of person who can walk forward with courage, even when the path is unclear. And when you finally release the need to force every outcome, you may discover that life has been guiding you all along. Imagine waking up each morning without feeling the constant need to control what hasn't happened yet. Imagine making decisions based on wisdom instead of fear, trusting your efforts while accepting that not every outcome belongs to you. Carl Jung believed this is where real transformation begins, not when life changes around you, but when something changes within you. The greatest moments of your life may never come from forcing the right door to open. They may come from becoming the kind of person who is ready to walk through the right door when it finally appears. Every challenge, every delay, and every unexpected turn has the power to shape your character, if you choose to see them as part of your journey instead of obstacles standing in your way. So the next time life refuses to follow your plans, resist the urge to fight it with fear. Take a step back, breathe, and remember what Jung tried to teach us. You cannot control every path life will place before you, but you can always choose who you become as you walk it. And sometimes, the moment you stop forcing life to happen is the very moment life finally begins to unfold in ways greater than you ever imagined. One of the hardest lessons in life is realizing that surrender is not the opposite of strength. In Jung's view, surrender means releasing the illusion that you must control every outcome to be safe. It is the quiet decision to keep moving forward without demanding certainty. That kind of courage is far greater than constantly fighting battles that only exist inside your mind. When you stop forcing life, you begin noticing opportunities that anxiety once kept hidden. Your mind becomes calmer, your judgment clearer, and your attention shifts from imagined disasters to real possibilities. The world itself has not changed. What has changed is your ability to see it without the constant filter of fear. Jung believed that wisdom grows in those who learn to cooperate with life rather than dominate it. The strongest people are not those who control everything around them, but those who remain steady even when life refuses to follow their plans. Many people spend years chasing success, believing that one achievement after another will finally bring peace. Yet every new goal only creates another destination to reach. Jung warned that a life built entirely around external victories often leaves the inner self neglected. Without inner growth, even success can feel strangely empty. Real transformation begins when your attention shifts from controlling events to understanding yourself. Every disappointment becomes a lesson instead of a punishment. Every unexpected change becomes an invitation to grow instead of a reason to panic. The journey is no longer about defeating life, but about discovering who you become through it. The person you are becoming is always more important than the result you are trying to achieve. Once you understand that truth, failure loses much of its power because every experience becomes part of your evolution rather than proof that you are not enough. Perhaps the life you've been searching for has never been hiding from you. Perhaps it has been waiting for the moment you stopped trying to force every door open. Carl Jung believed that the deepest changes happen quietly, when we finally stop resisting ourselves and begin living with greater awareness. The future will always contain uncertainty. Some plans will fail, some relationships will end, and some dreams will take longer than expected. But none of these experiences have the power to define you unless you allow them to. Your greatest strength has never been your ability to control life. It has always been your ability to grow through it. So the next time you feel the urge to force everything into place, pause for a moment and remember this. Peace is not found at the end of perfect control. It is found in the courage to trust the journey, embrace the unknown, and continue moving forward. Because sometimes the moment you stop forcing life is the exact moment life begins working in your favor.